to Reverend Ed Trevors from John Weaver, Rosemond, California. It's 7:05 West Coast time. It's still the 7th of December 2023 for the year. I got your video that you did about a couple of days ago regarding my junks and God's judgment on America. Seems like the independents are going full tilt boogie on this one. We're going crazy on it. I hardly ever talk to religious folks or talk about the other things happening in my life. I do a YouTube channel concerning about grieving, mourning, the diary of the griever named John Weaver. I've lost people in my life, Rev. Our last 10 years, it's been adding more and more of heartbreaking strain that really broke me physically and emotionally and spiritually at this point. All through my life, I kept trying to deal with life and death issues. And it's hard as hell to deal with death unless you really know about death. I'm not talking about biblical, I'm talking about literal. 4 years old, open heart surgery, three times up, 3 times put back into the body, saying it's not time for me to go yet. Didn't realize my brother, 8 years older than I was, wrote a letter to the doctor saying, "Don't let me die." I didn't realize he really cared about me that much, but he did. 2018 for him, my mama, 2013. Memorial that you see over my left shoulder. Gets harder and harder to celebrate holiday seasons. I've dealt with death. I've seen too many of my loved ones I've been around with, from friends, family, pets, but they're still family members anyway. And I tried to hold it in like crazy. Family had a hard time trying to express grieving anyway. Never did that in front of people because we always had to be the brave. We always had to be the strong. We always had to show the veneer and the facade. I can never relate well with people concerning about how I felt about life and death and everything else because it was hard as hell to communicate with them, including with pastors I grew up with in a church. It was never quite easy talking about it until after my brother passed away. And I'm becoming more and more acutely aware of it. Instead of hiding it away and showing how strong and brave I am, I'm like an emotional wreck. A lot of people, a lot of family are going to try to isolate and separate me. Not quite sure how to deal with a griever. Social media, I keep posting about it because it's the only way I know how. I keep talking to people on social media about their own experiences. I try to help out as much as I could. Sometimes I don't think I do enough. You can only social post as much as you can, but when we're separated, distances are great distances sometimes. Social media is the only way, I guess. Seems like sometimes I keep bragging about it. It's not bragging, especially when you're trying to tell people about how a 4-year-old grows up with the experience of life and death and how much of it changes a person left and right. Adulthood, we could try figuring it out, and maybe we want more of the rapture because we can't stand real life right now as it is. And the thing is, I'm not looking towards that right now. But I'm not trying to do the YOLO either. Live only once. Not trying to show the veneer and facade all the time saying, "I'm happy, yeah, let's be happy, let's experience things." Every time I keep experiencing things or try to get into situations, I'm always remembering connections left and right. And then it's a pain in the ass to being a griever and mourner at the same time. It's like a Deputy Downer at this point. I've seen the videos that are kept being reposted left and right, and what he was talking about, and then hearing the media pundits on YouTube talking about it. Oh, they're having a field day over this political bloodfest. Even I had my own videos being posted on my own channel about this one. Because I'm still trying to explain and still trying to identify and still trying to find a label for all this insanity going on. Why would God be interested in America when he doesn't see the boundaries that we've already put up? It's not the physical boundaries, it's always the other political boundaries that we've put up. God doesn't see it that way. At least I don't think he does. Would he understand what America is compared to Great Britain, compared to Russia, compared to another country left and right? How our own political systems are? I think he would understand more to it than that. But looking at humanity in general would be a different thing altogether. And my other question is concerning about this one. Why did he do the Tower of Babel on us? It's never explained correctly in the Bible, his reasoning. We only get to record his results and his actions. And maybe if there was any witnesses during the time, handed out from generation to generation verbally until we get the written text in, and we still have to question the thing. But sometimes I have to stick by with faith, and sometimes I still have to keep questioning it. And maybe that's one of the things why God has done this to us, to make sure that we know, or we're reaching out individually for our faith, to lean on him to understand what he wants for us individually, not collectively. But a lot of people want things collectively. American Sharia law, it's gone crazy out here. In America, we're going absolutely insane. Ask me about my own personal beliefs in religion, Rev. Yeah, I've got issues over this one. Sometimes I do get angry at God, and it's hard as hell. It's hard as hell to talk to him about this one, except not trying to keep it a reverence. I'm trying to talk to him like I'm talking to you or anybody else, hopefully without the language as much, but sometimes I do get vernacular on it. So God forgives me on that one. He's got a sense of humor. Even though he's got to have a limitation on that one. Treat him a little bit more respect. Hell, he is the Father. I got respect for him on that one. A biological sperm donor, I don't. Hit and run. Love child. Yeah, I had more reverence and respect. She commanded as much. But the hit and run just ran and never came back. Father figure was my brother. And he struggled a great deal too. But dealing with God and relationship on that one, I'm still trying to build it. I'm still having a hard time trying to get that rebuilt. Understanding what he wants this old fart for in the first place. I may look young, but my hands are telling me otherwise. I feel like I'm older than Methuselah, but not showing the wisdom of Solomon, that's for darn sure. But even so, when I keep hearing people talking about their voice and we should listen to them because they think they know God better, because they listen to God and we should obey them, I keep remembering some of the parables. Somewhere in the Bible in the New Testament, wasn't Jesus trying to warn us about wolves in sheep's clothing? False prophets? We don't listen, we're too stupid. We're too stupid, Reverend. We don't know our ass from a hot rock. I would think God would have a lot more understanding on how the hell we're doing to ourselves and what we're doing and how we're trying to view him. Tower of Babel? Or Babel. Kept thinking of it as weird as kaleidoscope, or if we're talking about a prism situation here. Reverend, you ever did a prism experiment? Throw a white light on a prism or crystal. You see the rainbow, or you see the refraction in the sky sometimes. White light broken down, different viewpoints, how you look at the same subject. Sometimes I do get that kind of revelation. I have to understand there's got to be different points of view that I am missing. I'm not God, but I can only deal with the shade of color I'm dealing with. Everyone else has got a different shade of color and looking at the same item, but we all share it into the one light, the one subject. But we can't, because we're too busy battling each other, thinking ours is the primary, and the other guy is just schmucks. We're dealing with that on a constant basis, Rev. I'm hearing other people trying to force our laws, everything else we're accustomed to, into thinking they know better because they say so. You talk about megalomania and egos running at muck at this point. I don't have any faith or trust in them. I don't. My gut's telling me otherwise. I'm sorry. I don't follow other people's ideas and ideologies. I follow what my gut tells me half the time. I'll hear Mike Johnson in his mouth. I hear Trump and the Trumplicants talking about what they talk about. And I've seen the other clips on social media. I see the manipulations of the algorithms at work. It's quite unsettling. You get locked into the boxed view. Can't see beyond that particular point of view there. You don't know what's beyond. You don't see beyond the perspective or the context. I'm not about to ask the wisdom of getting older and getting a different perspective and context when we're younger. Because how do we tell that to other people? I'm going through college right now. Almost 7 years, almost coming up in 8 years, 2 classes at a time. I've dealt with death during that time. I've dealt with COVID and then trying to get back into classes again and taking time off because of the morning of grieving still kicks my butt. Seeing therapy for that one. But I'm also trying to keep contact with God on this one. I'm not perfect at talking with him every single day, but at least I know he's still listening. At least I hope he does. It's still rattle my cage, and I still have to keep searching for his guidance and his wisdom, Reverend, because these days I'm getting older and more terrified. I should have to be holding on to God more tighter on this one. And I don't even know what Jesus thinks of me at this point, even though I did have experiences with him on this one. When I died 3 times, I saw a figure in the light. Rose above my mutilated body, and the surgeons were still trying to work on it. Came into the light, saw a figure. I didn't recognize who or what he was, but he kept telling me it wasn't my time, go back. It wasn't my time. 4 years old, I wanted to go back home. Well, I had to be at home on earth. All the pain, agony, and everything else I had to suffer through it. And then go through mental anguish decades later, taking therapy for the damn thing, getting disabled on it, both physically and mentally. How the hell you tell people about it? How you look at things left and right, be scared of medical science trying to cure you or trying to help you out when you think they're doing a Dr. Frankenstein situation on you. There was a couple of times that in my youth, my mother was taking care of my great aunt and grandmother. My brother was off in the Navy going through boot, and my aunt was having heart issues left and right. We had her in the hospital because one of her heart attacks kicked in. Scared the living daylights of me. I had to go across the street to a church because I didn't know where else to go to. I sat in the pews and prayed. I had a lay minister with me. She asked me if I wanted to accept Jesus in my heart. All I wanted to do is save my aunt. Sure, why not? So I prayed. I haven't felt the same energy presence. I felt the same energy presence that just gave me a hell of a lot of love, a lot of peace. It was the same feeling I felt when I was in that tunnel. It scared the hell out of me, and I wanted more of it. I was a bit of a changed person, but things happened, and then you can go back to your terrified ways, losing contact like that. But I didn't hear the voices. I didn't hear the angelic voices singing or anything else like that. I just felt I needed to have the peace right then. It sounded like somebody slipped me a Mickey or something. And then when I was a teenager, several years later, going through high school, and grandmother was still at home, and mom was sending me out for about a week at a YMCA camp. I don't know how she was able to afford it, though. Anyway, over at the YMCA camp, I can't find it anymore. The place is burned down decades ago. I have a hell of a lot of fires out here in Southern California. Anyway, day before we were supposed to be leaving, I joined a group, and we were told to blindfold ourselves. Well, actually, we were blindfolded anyway by the camp counselors. We were led down a trail. We had to follow exact instructions of the counselors. Bend, step over, bend, step over, bend, stop, Bible passage read. We did this a few times until we got to a clearing. They missed about 20 of us, or about that. Small group. And all I could do was just pray. I don't know what I was praying. Maybe something, I don't know, maybe something to God and saying like, do you know what I'm here for? I don't know what I'm here for. And then I felt it again. I felt it again. They didn't stay with me long, but it's like an angel trying to acknowledge my presence. But I tell you one thing, going to churches all the time, in between the time I was young kid all the way through the teenage years, I never could quite get a connection to God on that one. I mean, the Methodist church I went to, me and my family had been to, I'd gone to catechism. I had gone through the indoctrinations. I'd gone through the lessons and been accepted as a member of the church. Got my own Bible buried around here somewhere. I still have it. I still need to read it from time to time. I think I need to read it more and more these days. Just to get spiritual connection, I guess. That was a connection to a past that I still wanted to hold on to for dear life. The pastors I had been with, I loved these guys. There was one guy named Bob Hillman. He was from New Zealand. Oh my God, was he spiritually magnificent. But I know he was enthused about it, but I don't know if he ever been through the stuff I'd been through. I kept trying to tell him about it. But I didn't have any references as a kid. He kept trying to tell me the joy and what the Bible was trying to teach him, but he hadn't been through it. And I had a memory block during those days. Seems like the older and older I get, I'm getting more and more of the block loosened a bit. Or I'm talking about it more loosely at this point. And it was like talking to a brick wall with him, but I still love the guy anyway. He died decades ago as well. All the good guys I know that have been around, all the ones that have been spiritually enthused. It seems like I'm running at the end of my rope in this one here with these people. Anyway, these days I'm still struggling on that faith. I'm still trying to reach out left and right. I'm still crying my eyeballs out, pleading to God. Forgive me. What I am a fool and idiot about, but forgive me for crying. Forgive me for bawling my head off. Forgive me for missing my family. I've got trigger words that are interconnected with my head. They're connected with memories. They're connected to this. It's like a spider web situation. You ever see how intricate and connected those things are? Some things will trigger, and it takes some time to get the energy and waves build up to where I see something innocuous or something innocuous happens. Either way, I get triggered on that one. And then here comes the floodgates. Be emotional. There's no rapture, and I'm just pouring my heart and soul in this thing. And after I waste a hell of a lot of energy crying and praying my eyeballs out, I feel so depressed afterwards that I don't even feel better about it. But the thing is, I don't feel the point to where I want to say, okay, that's it, I'm going to kill myself. There had been a few times in my life, Rev, that I've come close to that one. I really came close to that one. I really didn't care about life. Life almost had no meaning. I had to come clean about this sometimes. How does God ever put me into an AA hall and save my ass? I don't remember drinking. And if I did, my family's got the problem with the damn disease. My genetic bloodline. Seems we're all cursed with the damn disorder left and right. One way or another, the disease hits, and it hits hard. So, 12-step AA groups. Higher power. Dave died clean and sober 32 years. I seen him go through hell and recovery. Then he had to put me through hell and recovery at the same time. I don't have 32 years. I guess maybe about 17, 18. Lost track. Some alcoholics will keep track of it and very proud of it. Me, I'm like, I lost track of my family, so sometimes calendars just don't mean anything anymore. I put so much emphasis on my family, how much they meant to me in my life. I wasn't a complete family man, but I should have been more and more. I'm not married, no kids. My mother and my brother was my world, my life. And now I think God wants me more and more into His. But I don't know what the hell He's got in store for me next. I'm going through the college right now, trying to correct a mistake I screwed up with because I didn't understand back then. I didn't have the context, perspective, viewpoint, nothing. Just had to go through a college system and screw up 2 years of learning. Ma gave me a choice, homeless or work my ass off, and I worked my ass off. Right now I've been focusing on studies, and my GPA is about between C and B. Yeah, good for a mediocre. That's alright. I'll deal with that. I don't mind having a deflated ego. Believe me, I've had a touch of megalomania and being on that level over there. No, thank you. No, I don't want it. I have to keep praying for humility and humbleness from God. I need it more and more these days because my mouth is going to get me more and more in trouble these days. Doesn't matter how much knowledge I can cram into the head. I know my mouth and my attitude, my ego are going to get the best of me, and there goes everything else. That's why I have to keep talking to God, but that's not the only reason. Missing my family has been tearing me apart left and right. And that's the thing that keeps, that's the major sore point right there. I talk about the politics, and sometimes it pisses me off that other people are using this as an excuse. But then again, that's them. By trying to force their viewpoints upon me, I have to follow this because they say so. How the hell, pardon my language, how did Christ deal with the Pharisees when he was growing up and also in his adulthood? How was he able to confront with them and deal with them? I know the Bible tells us one way, but sometimes I wonder if there was another perspective on it. There was another book out there we didn't come across that would tell us maybe that the Pharisees really got pissed off at Christ, or maybe they admired Christ but still were afraid of him and of God. I'll tell you one thing, if God actually decided to send out a host trying to tell people that we're going to be judged, everyone else is probably going to be screaming and yelling and trying to claw and trying to do whatever they can to curry favor. I think the only thing I would probably do at that point is probably go back into my house with my dog and wait for judgment. Or at least wait for probably have a heavenly host just to knock on the door or pound on the door and say, I'm here. Or just maybe they come through the door and chat with me for a minute. If Christ ever came through the door, I hope we would have a conversation, man. I really would. I don't think I feel like I am of worth. I know I'm not. I'm a fool. I'm an idiot. God's kept me alive, and kept me around for a long while. It just astonishes me. What I don't know what else He wants me to do. One more thing, Rev, before I let you go. Sorry it's taken so long to chat with you about this one. You probably got too many people talking with you anyway. But it scares me, Rev, that I just had a train of thought lose my head. Maybe it's better I don't even say it. Sometimes I would try to think of things in the top of my head. Now I can't even say it. And by the time I figure the thing out, it'll be too late for me to record at this point. Let me hit the pause for a second here. Sorry about that. Before my brother passed away, about a decade and a half earlier, actually about a decade earlier, he was looking at patterns and trends of our own genetic bloodline. He seems like the age of 60 years is the cutoff for the male Cameron line. Anything beyond that, the body starts falling to pieces left and right, and then they drop off like flies. My brother was mixture. He had both his father and our mother's lines in him. One particular line could last about 70, 80 years. He lost his father when he was about his 80s to early 90s. My brother was hoping to be that old and that crotchety and cranky. Age of 60, his body started wearing down and breaking down. Probably broken down a little earlier than that. Type 2 diabetes and all the damn complications. Stroked out in his head a few places. Couldn't talk much, couldn't take care of himself. It was hard as hell to take care of him during those days. Prior to that, when he was reaching his 50s, he was terrified. He went angry and ballistic. He wanted to kill himself. I had taken some people to talk with him about it, calm him down. I couldn't calm my own brother down. I had to take other people to do that. People who could talk his language. And at the age of 60, we didn't talk much about it. Because it was like about a few weeks after he took it, his body really started to break down on him. It was the hardest damn thing. Going into a school semester, and at the same time a winter holiday season. Oh, the stories, Rev. That's why I have a channel with a few years and about, good lords, how many? About 600 videos about my life story and my brother, about my ma. And he passed away in September. A few weeks, actually about a month shy from a sobriety birth date. He would have been 33, clean and sober. But 32 is not bad. It would be considered an old-timer in the sport halls. I'm 57, and yeah, it scares the hell out of me. But I'm pushing it on to school to see if I can get graduated before I turn 60. But anything else beyond that, I wanted to write for a living. Instead, I'm doing videotaping of my life story. There are stories I've written. I'll probably do another video to talk about this one here. So I'll probably send 2 videos out to you, Doc. Forgive me for this one. You're going to get buried.